All right, so this is your color theory mixing chart. And as you can see, it has a series of colors down the side and down the bottom. And where they intersect is where you put a mix. There's also a quick reminder at the beginning. So you should know this stuff already. Yellow plus red equals orange. Red plus blue equals purple or violet, whichever word makes you happy. Blue plus yellow equals green. So those are your main primaries here, red, yellow, and blue, and your secondaries, orange, purple, and green, that you're going to need to know. However, if you're working with watercolors, you have all these colors available to you in your paint palette already. So you don't have to mix up orange, green, or purple to make any of this happen. You will notice this chart asks you to work with white, and there is no white watercolor paint here. So I will give you the option of skipping this section, or with watercolors, the way you make a color lighter is by adding more water. So you can do each of these colors, but with lots and lots of water. Now, you'll also notice there's these dark boxes here. Notice this is where yellow meets yellow. That's just going to be yellow. Or where orange meets orange, that's just going to be orange. So if it makes you happy, one good way to start and make a lot of progress show very quickly would be to paint these bold boxes in a diagonal first. To work with your watercolors, you will need a cup of water. You can see mine here. Paper towel is also great, has quite a few uses. So a paper towel, a Kleenex, something disposable that you can use to wipe things. And we'll start with yellow. To use watercolor, as you should know, get your brush wet, add it to the watercolor cake, swirl it around. This will wake up that paint. And then once you've got enough on your brush, you just go ahead and paint in that square. Try to stay inside the lines because it's good practice with controlling your brush. Now I can rinse my brush really well and go ahead and do the same thing for orange. Rinse my brush. Red. Purple. Some people struggle with the palettes telling which one is purple and which one is black. This one is blue. Next door to that is purple. So if I start to swirl in there, you'll see the color on my brush is purple. Always rinse your brush between colors. You don't want to mix colors yet. That's later on in the chart. Now, I'm ready to do the next part, but it is very important to consider where you have wet spaces and where you have dry spaces so that you don't make the color that is still wet here bleed into another color. So I'm going to start up here where I started painting first, where it's likely to be the driest, as opposed to down here where I just painted. And notice I need to mix orange and yellow in this box. I don't suggest that you mix on your paper because you never know what's going to happen. I just turned around my palette, you'll notice, because in the lid, you have all these cool places to mix. So what I think you should do, and the best way to make sure you get this right, is you take a paintbrush full of yellow and leave it on your paint lid. Rinse your brush. Take a paintbrush full of orange. Mix that in. You're going to have a yellow-orange mix. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but orange is definitely stronger than yellow, and that just looks like straight orange to me, so I'm going to grab a little bit more yellow. It just should look like the two is mixed, right? So I'm going to go ahead and paint my yellow-orange in that box there, And then I'm going to look at my next combination. It's red and yellow. Now, hey, reminder, red and yellow makes orange. If you would like to mix red and yellow together to make orange, you certainly can, but you also have orange paint. So you can make your life simpler and you can go ahead and paint your orange paint because red and yellow make orange. You don't have to mix them manually if you don't feel like it for the purposes of this assignment. Now, is this orange brighter than my last orange? Yes, because that one had more water and this one has less water. I'm not super worried about how much water has been added at any given point. It doesn't have to be perfect as far as intensities. Now I have orange and red mixed together in this box. So I would continue working my way through my worksheet. Remember, always mix in your paint lid first. So some orange. I'm going to be a little gentler on the red so it doesn't take over. I'm going to make a red orange, and I'm going to go ahead and paint that in that box there. Now, mine just looks like red. I'm disappointed in myself. Let me rinse my brush, grab a smidge more orange, see if I can make an orange red. So the great thing about watercolor is you can kind of correct it if you mix right on the paper while it's still wet. Otherwise, you just build a second layer on top if you let it dry first. You can't ever really cover it up though. So pay close attention to what colors you're mixing. As you proceed, you'll see sometimes the mixes seem pretty gross. Purple and yellow, you might be a little surprised. Why on earth would we mix that? Because you need to know what it looks like when you mix together purple and yellow. So be a little bit cautious with your purple. But purple and yellow right now is just purple because my purple totally took over. But it should make some sort of yucky neutral color. And that is okay. That's what I want you to know, that when you mix something like purple and yellow or blue and orange or green and red, you get a yucky neutral color. Once you finish this chart on the left side, you're going to proceed over here to mixing brown with each color, black with each color. And as I said, you could skip this column or add lots of water to make lighter versions of each color. You might think, what happens when this lid gets full of little puddles, Miss Gillis? Well, that's all right. You just go ahead and take one of your paper towels and you can wipe it dry. So you can wipe up all those puddles of paint and start fresh with a new clean space. This one that's wet on the end here, I might have to go ahead and get my space wet, but it will wash right off with a little water. So you can always keep reusing this tray lid as a place to mix your colors as many times as you need so that you can continue to check your colors before you apply them to the paper.